Everyone, please be seated. Welcome back, School of Architecture, to Hendricks Chapel and the first in-person convocation since 2019. I want to welcome all the students and staff and faculty and parents and friends. I'd like to first begin with a land acknowledgement. I acknowledge with respect the Onondaga Nation, firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee, the indigenous people on whose ancestral land Syracuse University now stands. I'd also like to begin formally by acknowledging the recent passing of Louise Lou Carnes, a beloved member of the Syracuse architecture community. Lou is the manager of our bookstore, which has been renamed the Lou Carnes Supply Store at Slocum Hall. But more importantly, she was a mentor, friend, colleague. Indeed, she was the heart and soul of our school. We will miss you, Lou. I want to thank the faculty and staff. They should stand up if they would. Please stand, faculty. Our staff is mostly already standing, probably. Thank you, staff, as well. These have been, yes, please. These have been 2 very difficult years, and without them, we obviously wouldn't be here today. I also want to thank you and acknowledge and have all of the students and staff and faculty and all of the rest of us acknowledge those without whom we wouldn't be here, literally, family and friends. So, I'm going to announce our convocation speaker. For the last 8 years, we've had a convocation speaker, and today we have a terrific speaker. Gary Bates is an architect, urbanist, and educator. He completed in 1990 a professional degree in architecture at the Virginia Polytechnic University and State Institute. From 1992 to 1998, he worked at the Office of Metropolitan Architecture, the OMA, in Rotterdam, where he was director and where he collaborated on many projects with renowned architect Rem Koolhaas. From 1995 to 1998, Gary Bates was the principal in charge at OMA of the Asian desk. In 1998, he left OMA and founded Space Group in Oslo, Norway, a firm that he still runs. There he completed many award-winning projects, including the Prosnest Ferry Terminal in Tromsø, the Vestbana National Library, Philipsstad Master Plan, and the Louisville 25-year Vision Plan. This last year, with Anna Bates, Gary founded Make, a New York City-based design agency. Gary Bates has taught at all the important schools of architecture in the world, including, most notably, at Syracuse Architecture. And he's a frequent speaker and panelist at important architecture, urban, and design forums in the US, Europe, Asia, and Africa, where he has been focused a great deal in the last several years. This last semester, Gary and renowned engineer Albert Tater, gave a one-week workshop for students in the Architecture Comprehensive Studio. You can actually see a lot of that work when you go back to Slocum Hall in room 104. It's really remarkable work. And it was one of the most important and powerful courses of any kind, in my view, that's ever been conducted at our school. Gary Bates is an architect, an urbanist, an educator, and I'm also honored to say a personal friend and a friend of Syracuse architecture. Please help me welcome Gary Bates.
Well, that was a fantastic introduction. Thank you, Michael. It's amazing to be here. Before I start, I have to, well, first of all, I've never worn one of these. It definitely changes a person. Congratulations. Before I was, while I was practicing, yes, exactly, thank you. I love the amount of noise and energy in this room when we came in. It's like Syracuse rocks. I've never seen that kind of energy. This is better than a football game. Thank you, parents. Give it up! So in preparation, my wife, she told me that she gave a very clear message. She said, Gary, you should watch Denzel Washington. Which I did, and I realized I could never do a Denzel Washington speech for you guys, so you're not going to get that. I'm incredibly grateful and humbled to stand before you on this day to mark such an incredible achievement. When Deed Speaks asked me to present, gave me this opportunity, I realized the significance of the moment, especially at the time and place where we are. And for those of you who know me, and no surprise to Dean Speaks, when he said you need to give a speech that's going to lift the graduating class and prepare them for what lies next, I said the first thing I want to do is actually give a speech to the parents. Confused but determined, I said it's important for me to try to identify to all the people that are around us what it is we actually do. And for the majority of people, when you ask them what is an architect does, especially an architect today, I think most people struggle to find that answer. What we actually say, because those directly connected to the profession of architecture do not know what the profession actually is, there's a disconnect between our expectations and our understanding. For far too long, as architects, we've found comfort in our own self-constructed echo chamber. And not only that, those who do understand, the few kind of who think they understand what we do, the question always remains, why do you guys do what you do? It's incredibly challenging, it's incredibly time-consuming, it's an incredible effort we make. So the first part of my talk is for the parents, for the friends who've joined us today. My intention is not to only provide some insight about what architects do, but also, and somewhat surreptitiously, to provide each of you, the graduates, the agency to explore architecture as a cultural practice. Today I'll be detailing several personal stories, something which in other contexts or at other schools wouldn't be normal, or would be normal, even expected. But unfortunately, that's not the case for architects, nor for architecture. We, and by we, from now on, when I say we, I mean us, architects, are educated to be non-personable. Understandably, it's ironic and antithetical to be non-personal. We're intellectuals and technicians, artists and engineers, social anthropologists and policymakers. We range across and oscillate between disciplines, professional areas of practice. The complexity of what we do often obfuscates the simplicity of it. Moreover, what we are doing is changing, especially as we architects respond to the many challenges that confront the world today. And perhaps the most notable change is the shift that is occurring in architecture as a discipline and profession from a practice where the architect is mostly concerned with making buildings to one where the architect is a facilitator of ideas and methods for approaching the world. So the first point, architecture builds culture. For some context, when I was 12 years old, living in Newark, Delaware, having left the inner city of Wilmington, but still returning, subject to desegregation, that gives all the parents an idea of what time frame we're talking about. I had a drawing assignment on the subject of architecture and interior design. I was given a light green sketchbook with line pages, and I went to the University of Delaware campus. It was the only place where I knew something looked like what I assumed architecture was. I managed to sneak in behind some students, and I proceeded to sketch the lintels, the columns, the doors, the patterns, the chairs with claws, feet on the bottom, urns over the doors. I supplemented this with pictures that I cut out from cheap magazines. When I finished, I gave the report to my teacher. I remember her so well. She was at least 120, and she threatened us to kiss us if we did something wrong. So of course we never did anything wrong. I was too young to understand the virtue of kisses. And I said to her when I handed over the sketchbook, I said, I'm gonna be an architect. That was 12. I still have the sketchbook if any of you want to see it. That was the first time in my life I'd ever sketched anything. The first time I'd been in a university building. During the summers after that, I took classes. I took math and physics and journalism. I went to the university every summer. I was a nerd student. I didn't have anything else to do in the summer, so sneaking into the university became my favorite thing to do. When the time came to apply for university, my parents asked me, what do you intend to study? And I answered them again with the utmost surety, I'm going to be an architect. They smiled, laughed in disbelief. I was a 17-year-old African-American soccer player, fortunate to attend the university because I got an athletic scholarship. Entering a profession grossly underrepresented by the people of color, and I'm grateful to stand before you here today. Parents and friends, architecture school is not about architecture. Architecture school is a culture that binds this group of people together, these students, faculty, and staff together. It's a culture that enables them to see through a different lens, an equitable one, a spatial one, a collective one. It's a culture that educates us to appreciate and make use of the unexpected relationships and connections within the frame of making. Point number 2, architects are makers. We make relationships, we make frameworks for communication, we make equitable space, low threshold space that engenders the diversity that releases our humanity. As a parent or guest, think for a moment about architecture. Think about houses you've lived in, places you've worked in, public spaces, a room, a shelter, a church, a lodge, a bathroom, a favorite museum. Just think about those spaces. And now try to delaminate your visual memory of that space and place and consider for a moment what those spaces did for you, what they gave you, how those spaces enable you, what those spaces say about you. That is what we do. We enable spaces and places to communicate with you, to enliven and animate what is known, as well as what is unpredictable and unknown. Architecture facilitates our immersion into the experience of space, and the more committed we are to this idea, the more powerful that experience becomes. The visual impact of architecture is absolutely important. It's what most of us think about when we think of architecture, but there is more. Architecture is unfathomably challenging and incredibly powerful. Architecture school is a rigorous study that covers more material than can completely be absorbed in 5 years, followed by a professional licensing, which is impossibly difficult, requiring a rigorous process of checking boxes to ensure that you can manage the massive responsibility professional practice brings with it. Building in itself, making a building, is an infernal process. A sundry of codes that vary from place to place, country to country, norms, standards, specifications, contractors with varying standards and approaches, clients who don't always understand either what we do, engineers with varying degrees of motivation and support, but whose expertise, unlike ours, is engraved in stone, city officials who combine protocols and checklists with personal reflections on top of ours. This is what we do. Now for the graduates, I'm going to explain why we do what we do. Point 3, architecture is easy. When I finished university, there was a recession. In retrospect, I've convinced myself that it was a recession without any substantiating data. except the 120 unanswered job applications split between Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. My debt-to-income ratio was daunting. I needed a job. I convinced myself that I needed to learn how to build. Do you hear yourselves? I can say that the majority of people who come to work in my companies, the first thing they say is, I want to learn how to build. I was selective, I thought, at least at first, a combination of overeducated and insecure. I wanted to be something that, in all honesty, was a moving target. Every time I thought I knew what architecture was, I discovered it was something else. I saw myself as a generalist in a specialist field, and a specialist in a generalist field. In one form, you're all specialists. You're experts in equitable communities, industrial design, new materials, coding, environmental strategies, decolonization, cultural geographies, circular economies, systems, thinking, and design. Obfuscated by all my predispositions about the profession, focused on working a maximum amount of hours to substantiate my resolve and to solve problems that were not even asked, I now can tell you why architecture is in fact easy. It is, as so many things in life, built around one simple idea: listening. Listening as a reciprocal, connective, and incredibly virtuous affair. This is what connects all of us here today. I want to come back to the idea of specialists, and I want to start with a simple anecdote. Let's say you injure yourself playing a sport, an injury that clearly requires medical attention. You Google, and the algorithm for your profile leads you to a conclusion: you have a right knee ligament tear. Now imagine going to the doctor and explaining your injury, followed by telling the doctor he should give you platelet-rich plasma injections. Explain the time frame for him to do this, and tell him how much you're willing to pay him for doing it. The doctor would, of course, smile and politely ask you to leave his office. Now, most of us can agree that a doctor has what's called asymmetric knowledge. His knowledge is unequal to ours, not unlike an engineer in our profession. And I would like to challenge that idea. We too have asymmetric knowledge. Granted, it's been threatened, even sidelined by developers, contractors, even clients, but now, and I mean especially now, your unadulterated knowledge, not experience, is some of the best and most relevant information available today. And knowing this, understanding this is invaluable to your success. Circling back to knowledge, a topic which I'm especially fanatical about, recently I had a conversation with my closest non-architect friends. I proceeded to ask each one if they considered themselves an expert. They concluded that expertise is a function of time, focusing on specific problems, delighting in detail, and going very deep in understanding the deterministic rules of cause and effect. They were of ages like me, and they considered themselves experts in their fields. The writer, Malcolm Gladwell, as well as numerous other researchers, particularly related to sports, which is more easily quantifiable, have cited something which you may know called the 10,000-hour rule. The rule being the exact amount of time it takes to master a skill, to be a specialist. So for this occasion, I ran the numbers now, correct me if I'm wrong, at 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, 30 weeks in a school year, and 5 years for your bachelor's degree, that would give you all about 7,000 hours. If you add graduate school to that, you'll easily eclipse the 10,000-hour mark. And yet, I would argue today that despite what you may believe, as I did in my younger self, hope for, you will remain generalists. And that is exactly what we're supposed to do. We answer wicked problems, problems that are nearly impossible to solve, incomplete problems, problems that change in scope and condition, and that is where our asymmetric knowledge is transformative. You can see conceptual and structural patterns between seemingly unrelated ideas and environments, and the abstract mechanisms behind them. You have what David Epstein refers to in his book with the same name, range. Moving between disciplines, navigating challenging problems and uncertainty, asking the right questions, and making associations through interdisciplinary thinking. We merge the specialist information into new constellations and configurations. I would ask you to take this with you today. Avoid cognitive entrenchment. Embrace ambiguity, and furthermore, do not only answer the wicked problems. Ask the wicked questions. When I worked at the Office for Metropolitan Architecture, otherwise known as OMA with Rem Koolhaas, there were two clear fronts at the office: the experts and the juniors, interns, which many of you will soon be. The experts were old, albeit younger than I am now, experienced, I assumed because they looked experienced, and unbearably sure of themselves. And why shouldn't they be? They had done extraordinary complex projects with great success at one of the most famous offices in the world. Their gray hair, glasses, and insolent expressions were their tell. The interns, on the other hand, were young, brash, insultingly naive in the eyes of the experts, and overwhelmed with impatience. The juniors thought the experts were dull and inflexible, their ideas dated and uninteresting. The expert thought the juniors were wasting their time and the company's money, and ultimately they were only making a slow process even slower. And then there was Rem. And his powerful intellect combined with his youthful energy and impervious curiosity. Rem had this incredible ability to curate any conversation to ensure the juniors had a voice. He demanded it. He knew their value. He understood they did not have all the answers, but with their inspiration and freedom of thought, he was able to formulate new, better questions, the answers to which we would solve together. The office was dependent on this youth, and its success was Rem's ability to see it and catalyze it. I was at the time in many a conversation with Overp, one of the preeminent engineering companies in the world. I can recall one specific session where I presented sketch after sketch of a new skyscraper. I was 25 years old. I ignored their snickers, not so subtly directed at me. Of course they looked at me, he has no idea what he's doing. This sketch is hopeless, this sketch doesn't make sense, this sketch is impossible to build. And after 7 or 8 fails, I posed a question in the form of a sketch: what if we do this? The room was silent, the engineers mumbled to each other, Rem smiled, laughter erupted, and we'd arrived at the design for a new super skyscraper, which would at the time be the world, if realized, the tallest building in the world. So I was 25 years old, leading a multidisciplinary team of specialists on a high-rise development and master plan in Seoul, Korea for OMA. We are experts in contemporary culture and theory. We, again, we. We're experts in idea management and process curation. For some, education is a means to an end. But for those fortunate of you, education will be endless. Many of you will be so fortunate as to be surrounded by researchers, academics, practitioners, social anthropologists, politicians, economists, geologists, artists, and a multitude of other brilliant individuals challenging the status quo, which brings me back to this dichotomous condition of specialist and generalist. We're both. Point 3, I think it's 3. Architecture is slow. And in many ways, it should be slow. In Norway, where I've worked for the past 20 years, the social democratic process is dependent on slowness. Slow is inclusive, slow is reflective, slow is adding value throughout, slow is iterative. School, on the other hand, is fast. And the speed is intoxicating. A speed that is impossible to replicate outside this elaborate consolidation of intelligence and potential. Prepare yourself for slow. Embrace it as you would any journey with the people and challenges that come with a highly collaborative process. The slowness gives us the latitude to translate our ambitions into a conversation that may translate itself into an experience that may be understood as architecture, and this takes time. Architecture is changing. My son is applying for graduate school in architecture. He was accepted to 2 of the best programs today without enthusiasm or any celebration. I was confused, arguably a generational difference, one which you yourselves might be familiar with. Back to the question of why, one of the questions that I started this talk with. I needed to unpack his uncertainty as it was unsettling. Understanding the current profession is increasingly difficult, even for those immersed in it. though this was not the reason for his doubt. Excavating this uncertainty, the answer came down to one simple thing. Although difficult for me to share with you, he clearly remembered my struggles, projects, clients, collaborations, sleepless nights, and he said he could not remember my joy. And while he was not worried about me personally, as he experienced my joy in a multitude of other forms, he was in fact genuinely worried about the profession. There should not be an illusion that the adversity that the world has collectively experienced over the past 5 years is moving architecture into a more open space. Architecture is on a precarious precipice, one which it may have to succumb to enable the unique insight and skill that you possess as architects. I am advocating for a distinction between architecture as a service and the architect as a facilitator and a curator of information. And I want to be clear, the profession in many ways is not ready for what your education at Syracuse has provided you with. It continues to struggle with its residual self-image, as well as with ideas of equity, diversion, inclusion, culture, sustainability, community, and race. You are educated under the auspices of the future, and while architecture is slow, you are not. You have more skills, more knowledge, more information, more resilience, more tools than any other generation of architects before you. You only need to remember you are not architecture, you're architects. Architecture is together. As Nicholas Bourriade, author of Relational Aesthetics, describes, this world consists not only of things, signs, and forms. This world is held together by interpersonal relations that form the ultimate source and object of inspiration and creative work. A large part of your education has been overshadowed by a devastating pandemic that has caused immeasurable loss, instability, and disruption in our lives. Yet as you look at yourselves, remember your resilience and resolve, and that of the people close to you. An unmatched humanity is the force behind which we all imagine as an imminent systemic change. If you were to watch season after season of commencement speeches, the changes would be minimal, unnoticeable. However, if I look back where the profession was when I graduated in 1990, the differences would be of a dizzying magnitude. Decolonization, mapping, social inequity, climate change, energy, cultural geographies, geopolitical forces in architecture were not part of the conversation. We did not reflect on the multiplicities of intersections within academics, nor the connections to diverse professionals that you've had in this expanding knowledge of the profession. Your education has been as much about unlearning of architecture while building new foundations for a just and equitable planet. The profundity of your thinking, a reflection of the social imperative that has encircled us, your ability to make visible what has been blurred for generations while forming a critical spatial practice is inspired. You are the ones we will be watching. Architecture builds culture. Architects make. Architects are specialists and generalists. Architecture is slow. Architecture is easy. Architecture is together. Parents, friends, guests, you are essential to this journey. You will need from time to time to extract them from the rabbit hole, which no one did for me, and remind them of the core values, remind them of the power of culture. Meanwhile, graduates, and this is super important, look at the people next to you and around you. I also didn't do that. I'm only doing it now. This is your community, your extended family, and trust me, you will need them. Be generous to each other, because we're all trying to do something nearly impossible. Be supportive, because each of you are a part of a generation of makers, and you will need the support and belief to make this a more equitable, sustainable future. Be present in this moment and all the moments ahead. I could not have imagined when I was where you are now in Blacksburg, Virginia, that Bill Price, the Brown Endowed Chair at Prairie View A&M, radical in his subjugation of the normative, for the pursuit of the formative would join me at OMA and change the landscape of research in materiality and design in architecture. Or that my friend and colleague, Bjarke Ingels, would become big. Or that Joshua Ramus of Rex, the godfather of my son and now the architect, working on the Performing Arts Center at Ground Zero. Or Dan Wood and Amal Andreas, who formed later Work AC, and Amal became the Dean of Columbia University. Or Jacob van Rijs and Winnie Maas, together with Nathalie de Vries, would start a revolution in the Netherlands at MVRDV that Dean Speaks would brilliantly capture in what he called Big Soft Orange. If you guys don't know Big Soft Orange, check it out. That's your Dean. That's where we met. And that those seemingly unconnected conditions and relationships brought Dean Speaks and me together, lifelong colleagues, and now standing in front of you as your colleague, a member of this unique tribe giving the most important speech of my career. Lastly, I would like to close by quoting the person currently most impacting my thinking, the person who pulled me out of the rabbit hole, who's today in the audience with me, my wife, Anna Bates. Our approach is not to claim the author is dead, referring to Michael Foucault, who again was referring to Nietzsche, but keeping our authorial narcissism in check and accepting creation for what it is and has always been, an act made possible by a multitude of ideas, techniques, insights, and statements drawn from a rich and diverse cultural field spanning generations. There is much to do. I propose we do it collectively. Thank you, Syracuse University. Thank you, Dean Speaks, parents, friends, guests, colleagues, and most importantly, thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Inspirational, not surprising. Great to have you here. I'd now like to introduce the chair of the graduate program, Professor Brian Lonsway.
Hi, can you all see my screen? Oh, sorry, old habits die hard. We're here in person. And we're here, graduates, we're here at graduation. This is super exciting. So warm welcome to everyone, but especially to you, our graduates. My responsibility today is a humble one to announce a few critical awards to the graduate program. But before I announce those, I just want to say this is also a very special graduation for me with these master's students. As I end my tenure as graduate chair, I feel a certain solidarity with them as we open new chapters together, otherwise go into the great unknown of what's next. Over the 5 years in my position as chair, I've really grown with these students, and they with me, hopefully in good ways. From early conversations about whether this was the right program for them or where they are now as proud graduates bringing their amazing skills and creative energy to that great unknown. So I want to say thank you to you, our graduate students, for all the maturity, perspective, creativity, and humanity that you have brought to our school during our time together. And I know you will all do fabulously wherever life will take you next, so thank you. The first of my awards is the Graduate School, the School of Architecture, sorry, I do know its name, the School of Architecture Graduate Assistant Prize. One of the things that our students are very deeply involved in is the teaching across our entire curriculum. The graduate office and I oversee a team of 40 students, which is roughly equivalent to the size of our faculty as well. This prize is based on a high standard of scholarship and outstanding contribution made to that teaching mission, where they're there with our undergraduates in various ways through the curriculum, giving their time and labor and effort to everything from grading to photocopying to mentoring to crisis management and in between. It is a great responsibility the school takes very seriously, and this year I would like to congratulate Ashley Faze for receiving this award. Ashley, please come up. You gotta come up. Oh, I see, yeah, good point. That's perfect. Congratulations. Yeah, come this way. Yeah. Congratulations, Ashley, and yeah. Thank you. We also, as most of you know, we have two graduate programs in the school, and our Master of Science in Architecture graduate program is one where students are here after other degrees, after long professional careers, to advance their formation of the discipline through the integration of research and design. And we like to acknowledge that in addition to those important disciplinary and intellectual efforts, there are students who contribute incredibly positively to the school, the mission, the program, and its sustenance in the really intimate community that a Master of Science program is. So the Master of Science Graduate Award for significant contributions to the program this year goes to Ahmad Altafar, who's unable to be here with us, but congratulations, Ahmad. And then finally, similarly for our Master of Architecture program, I've identified our teaching assistant program. We also have research interns. We have students, we have an active chapter of graduate students of architecture. These students are leaders in the school and the community in very broad ways. And similarly to our Master of Science program, we also like to acknowledge a student in the Master of Architecture program for their contribution. So this year, I'm pleased to congratulate for the Master of Architecture Graduate Award for significant contributions to the program, Austin Pena. Austin, please come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I'd like now to introduce our undergraduate chair, Professor Daekwon Park.
Okay, congratulations everyone. Opposite to our graduate chair, this is my first time sending the graduates off. It's a sincere honor. I'm proud of each and every one of you. I taught each and every one of you through Building Systems 1, if you remember. A lot of you through 307 and Studio 409 too, as well. So before I announce the undergraduate awards, I would like to recognize our undergraduate class marshals. Please stand when I call your name. Jasmine Elizabeth Greytalk. And Eric August Becken. Okay, so now for the undergraduate awards. If I call your name, please come forward. So the Luther Gifford Prize was established in 1909 in honor of Luther Gifford, a noted architect in Syracuse from 1933 to 1847. The prize was created by members of the Gifford family to recognize students in the graduating class who attained the highest rank in scholarship during the course of study, and was first awarded 1910 at commencement. The Luther Gifford Prize for the highest academic standing in design goes to Bram Monson. Okay, the next one, the Alpha Rho Chi Medal commends those students who show true professional merit beyond the design studio in their academic career. It is my privilege to award the 2020 Alpha Rho Chi Medal to our outstanding undergraduate student leader, Mary Kate Cridge. So I'm not going to go down yet. So our associate dean was not able to attend today, so I will continue to announce the thesis prize. Okay. So in behalf of Associate Dean Zerniak, thesis is the culminating educational experience for all recipients of the Bachelor's and Master of Architecture degree. It is undeniably the most invigorating time, marked by both moments of clarity and crisis. As a year-long process, students are empowered to their autonomy to imagine and envision an architectural project with the guidance of both a primary advisor and an advisory committee. Over the span of time doing thesis, students produce not only a project, they also begin to map the discipline of architecture and their place within it. At the end of this process, the entire School of Architecture faculty evaluates the student work, voting for those whom they believe should be permeated. Each year, the school hosts a Thesis Prize Awards jury event where faculty are joined by several invited jurors from the profession and other schools of architecture who are nationally and often internationally well known for their creative and scholarly work. The Thesis Prize jury event is a day of enlightened discussions between the guests, our faculty, and the students, stimulated by thesis work of the students displayed before the assembled group of reviewers. It is a wonderful event and learning experience for our students. At the end of the day, the projects are ranked by faculty and jurors through a voting process to determine top prizes. We are now recognizing the students who were selected to compete in this year's Thesis Prize jury. When your name is called, please come forward. The first student is Austin Pena. Bram Monson. Dara Jen, Ivania Rivera and Helena Jen,
Put it up there, take the speakers off, and just leave it up there for, a month and compile.
Jake Hayward,
Okay, Andy, that actually worked for me, so I'm gonna take my laptop, go upstairs in the office with them, I think, or maybe do that.
Karina Corcuera Falcone, and Mary Kate Critch. Kelsey Benitez and Isabel Sutherland.
Yeah, Marty, let's go.
Christabel Chang, Michael Heller, oh, Michael's here.
I wonder if Gary Bates wants all that part. He's done talking, but I'm gonna let it rip. This is the backup, but I know we got the other one. Oh, it's so great you found Tom.
Parker D. Cleban, Pin Sankayo, Shiori Green, Jimeng Ryo and Shihui Zhu. Yingna Lee, Rachel Lai, and Skylar Sun.
Thank you so much.
And lastly, Ji Zhou. Okay, Dean Speaks will now give out the Dean's citation for excellence in thesis design.
Thank you, Professor Park. Wait till the rest of my colleagues get here. So these are actually, you don't know about these awards yet. The ones everyone knows about, the super jury, as it used to be called, but it's now the thesis prize jury. These are all, everything that's going to be read from now on, only I know right now. You will know soon. So the awards I'm going to read are these are Dean's Prizes in Thesis. And I'm going to read, there are 6. The first one is Ziyi Zhou. Oh, have to give you the prize, sorry. The second Dean's Prizes goes to Austin Pena. Next Dean Prize goes to Karina Falconet and Mary Kay Craig. Fourth Dean's Prize goes to Pen Sankeo. The next Dean's Prize goes to Parker Claybon. And the final Dean's Prize goes to Michael Heller. Okay, the James A. Britton Memorial Awards. James, the most prestigious thesis prize awards are the James A. Britton Memorial Awards. James Britton graduated from the School of Architecture in 1928. These awards are made possible annually through a generous endowment by his son, Jack Britton. 3 awards are given out annually: a Jury Prize Award, voted on by visiting critics, a Faculty Prize Award, voted on by members of the faculty, and the Advisory Board Prize, award voted on by the members of the Advisory Board. So, you want to hear these? Yeah, okay. So, the Jury Prize goes to Christabel Chung. The Faculty Prize goes to Ivania Rivera and Helena Zen. And the Advisory Board Prize goes to Dara Chen. Dara also won in the same building yesterday the top prize for honors in the creative category. Okay. I'd now like to introduce graduate program manager Lauren Mentier. As we recognize the graduating class, Lauren will be announcing the candidates for Masters of Architecture.
All right, all. This is the exciting part where you actually get to see your graduates come up. We will now recognize the Master of Science in Architecture candidates. Zainab Mustali Safri. Hold right here. Alejandro Calantes Miranda. We will now recognize the Master of Architecture candidates. Abigail May Korn. Megan Sarah Kelly. Emily Collins. Austin Pena. Ashley Faze. Ramisa Zahin Ahmed. Michael Anthony Iardo. Robert J. Helbach III. Monisha Arnold. Crystal K.N. Janal Jantique Austin. Sean Colligan. Mackenzie Timothy Lubin. Jai Yuan. Zui Chun. Meng Yao Liu. Tianchi Liu. Supritha Guntar. Wensen He. Tiffany Eng.
Now I'd like to announce, or introduce rather, our Director of Career Services, Kristen DeWolf. Kristen will be announcing the candidates for Bachelor of Architecture.
We will now recognize the Bachelor of Architecture candidates. The graduation honor of cum laude is awarded to those graduates with a cumulative GPA of 3.2. Magna cum laude is an honor awarded to graduates with a 3.5 GPA, and summa cum laude is a distinction reserved for those with a 3.8 GPA or higher. Eric Bakken, summa cum laude. Jasmine Elizabeth Graytock, magna cum laude. Noah Bishop, summa cum laude. Grant Alexander Portelli. David Chen. Jacob Jankowitz, cum laude. Wesley Gabriel Firo, cum laude. Andrew D'Angelo, magna cum laude. Emmy Ween Gutnick, magna cum laude. Jason Paul Moline. Kumba Christine Conte, magna cum laude. Che Phelps. Janani Suryanabrayanan. Nikita Pali. Janu Prajapati. Divija Sethi. Sneha Nair, cum laude. Nahal Godsi. Shuyu Meng, magna cum laude. Young, magna cum laude. Yongki Liu, magna cum laude. Yan Emily Huang, cum laude. Andrew Harper, cum laude. Zion Zhou, magna cum laude. Cheng Lin Liu, magna cum laude. Luying Peng. Jimeng Luo, summa cum laude. Sorry. Xiaojun Zhou, cum laude. Wanting Peng, magna cum laude. Shihui Xu, magna cum laude. Yuting Hu. Tony Lee. Anusha Shikre, cum laude. Jonathan Reynolds, cum laude. Yunxian Chong, magna cum laude. Junqi Deng, cum laude. Shang Feng, magna cum laude. Ying Na Li, magna cum laude. Rachel Lee, cum laude. Luis Martin Cruz Lopez, magna cum laude. Christabel Chung, magna cum laude. Shiyi Wang. Linjing Rao, magna cum laude. Sinran Min, magna cum laude. Yihan Young, magna cum laude. Kelsey Benitez, magna cum laude. Zach Samuel, cum laude. Ali Abdel Baki. Daria Agapatova, cum laude. Mehek Saroha, cum laude. Hulami Das. Daniel Vanderlyn. Andrew Yu, summa cum laude. Wentao Liu, cum laude. Yishen Li, magna cum laude. Fernando Vidal Claudio. Kayla Clark, magna cum laude. Emmanuel Amina Kikaya, cum laude. Shiori Green, magna cum laude. Roxanne Sarafadze, magna cum laude. Julia Cho, summa cum laude. Rio Ishioka, magna cum laude. Heather Skinner, magna cum laude. Jake Hayward, cum laude. Bram Monson, summa cum laude. Joao Pedro Ellery Lustosa Furtado de Oliveira, cum laude. Anakava Tania Talua, cum laude. Jin, magna cum laude. Zhenpeng Yong. Katrina Simone Abad, magna cum laude. Xiaohan Mo. Tanya Tunkasarawang, magna cum laude. Jing Ying Chen, magna cum laude. Toto Tan, cum laude. Shi Xiang, cum laude. Eve Masurlian, magna cum laude. Cameron Chehanovich, cum laude. Mariasa Krivitskaya, magna cum laude. Astra Sun, magna cum laude. Ava Helm, magna cum laude. Felipe Pacera Gomez. Adhitian Ambumozi. Ife Eolua Aragon. Ziyi Zhou, magna cum laude. Skylar Sun, magna cum laude. Alice Rong, magna cum laude. Mary Catherine Craig, summa cum laude. Karina Lucia Corquera Falconet. Mason Malsegna, summa cum laude. Lawrence Boyer, summa cum laude. Benjamin Hunter Wong, magna cum laude. Joseph Vincent Caputo, cum laude. Diana Wu, magna cum laude. Emily Hu, summa cum laude. Miguel Joseph Ruan, magna cum laude. Helena Zen, magna cum laude. Ivania Rivera, cum laude. Joye Jerry Yan, magna cum laude. Tina Lim, magna cum laude. Patrick Riley, cum laude. Katie Weeks, magna cum laude. Sarah Catherine Perino, cum laude. Daniela Huffer. Mega Morali, cum laude. Shelby Ann Ward, cum laude. Diana Quesada, magna cum laude. Alexa Adams, magna cum laude. Olivia Marie Della Cava, cum laude. Isabel Sutherland, magna cum laude. Bohan Lee. Sean Lingdo Lakshmanan, cum laude. Ashley Wu, cum laude. James Byron Soper, magna cum laude. Jun Young Park. Zachary Colby. Jessica Simonowski. Bryce Edwards, summa cum laude. Elena Mara, magna cum laude. Alexander Michelle, magna cum laude. Andrea Herrera, cum laude. Parker D. Claybon. Michael Heller, cum laude. Adam Jameson Harris. Houston Park. Congratulations to all.
I want to thank the parents, the family, friends, faculty, staff for coming today to this fabulous in-person convocation. I'm waiting for them to move forward. And to all of those gathered today, first, I'm going to say that we will have a reception in Slocum Hall following this immediately, so please proceed across the quad and join us there. But for now, I'd like to officially present to you School of Architecture Class of 2022. Should we go? Yeah. We go this way.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciated it.